It's Monday again. I wasn't ready for it. I was still in Sunday mode. But that's okay. We roll with the punches here. Hope you had a great weekend. Ready to talk about traffic again. Yes, I am. What'd you do on the weekend? Anything exciting? Like really exciting or just moderately okay? I want to know. Okay, so why? I'm waiting to press a button here. It's not working yet. TikTok hasn't come online yet. We'll do that in a second. In the meantime, let me tell you a little something about me as I press start on my app that I'm beta testing. Alpha testing? I guess it's alpha testing. I wrote the software, and now I'm testing it. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, as well as plastic bags today. And we'll talk a little bit about Trump. We'll talk about anything that you want to talk about, because that's what we do here. We talk about stuff and things. Yeah, some wild stuff. We have an inauguration taking place today at noon, I believe, is when it starts. Mr. President Trump will be President Trump again. Let's stand by. Oh, maybe this is not working because of. I didn't think of this, but maybe it's not working because of. Maybe they shut it down because of TikTok. The potential issue in the States. Yeah, I think they disabled the functionality for TikTok. That's not good. That's not good at all, because I need to be able to go live on TikTok. Okay, hang on a second. Let's open up a TikTok window. Stand by as we do tech support, because I can't leave my TikTok people out in the cold. That's not okay. If I have to, I'll put up a separate device and stream there. Well, that's no bueno in a big way. But yeah, let me go off my plan, because originally I was going to talk about. Well, I guess we'll talk about plastic bags first, because plastic bags are important. Why am I talking? What's going on here? Why am I talking about plastic bags? I don't know. Do you ever get delivery, food? I don't mean like pizza. I mean like your groceries, because I do. I get delivery, and I like delivery. I really do. I like the fact that I can go and order what I need and it shows up. It's a big deal. So why am I bringing this up? Well, because I get delivery from a place that does things like bring paper bags. I hate paper bags with a passion. Can't stand them. It's just, it's not okay. It's gross. I pick up the paper bag and everything explodes. Why can't they just use like boxes? Something like they put the paper bags into a plastic bin because they know the paper bags are garbage, and then they put the paper bags on the floor in front of my door, and then I pick them up and they all tear and rip and shred, and it's garbage. And I've had enough of it. I might actually go shopping myself going forward. I might. No guarantee, but I might. All right. Let me see what's going on here. I'm going to see if I can go live directly from the app. Not the way my day was supposed to go, but we roll with it. What is it? We listen and we don't judge. That's what I'm told. Well, I can go live from the app. That works. Okay, and I can go live from PC or console. Let's see if we can do this by way of RTMP. Will it let me? RTMP. Stand by. I think we can fix this. Too many channels. Turn this one off. Turn this one on. I think we're going to be okay. Maybe, possibly. Sending data. We'll know in a second. So aside from the fact that things are not going right, we'll start the clock off. And we're live. Hallelujah. We have worked around the problem. You see, this has got to be related to the issues going on in the States. Okay, so, we're going. We're good. Tian, good morning to you. Tian is coming in through YouTube and says, good morning, everyone. We got a Kayla with greetings and salutations, and he promises that jokes are coming soon. We got, because dad jokes for the end of the show. We like doing that. It's good. It's good. We like dad jokes. Brandon says, good morning, Sean, and it's all my last day in last day in California. We'd like to thank all the brave first responders and volunteers who helped with the fires. You are all amazing. And you are awesome for being out there supporting them. We'll have to connect. I want to hear about this trip. And we have a first question coming in from X. I like questions from X. I like questions from everywhere. We got Kyle who's liking the live. Thank you, Kyle. And we've got Cold Laker who just popped in saying, good morning, Monday, cop, not a cop, LOL. I was on Cold Laker's live stream this morning seeing what's up. We talked about eggs. We talked about breakfast. We talked about the round dance. Did I say that right? Lots of stuff coming on. I look forward to the possibility of attending that. We've got... We got lots of likes. Thanks. So things are reporting differently than. Here we go. Cameron liked the live. Hey, good morning to everybody. Sales CNC just popped in and made a comment somewhere. We'll see if that pops up shortly. Okay. Let me close this window since it's useless. And lots of activity in the wonderful. Is it wonderful Instagram? Brando says it's minus 30 in Alberta. That doesn't sound fun. Not going to lie. Doesn't sound fun. But you know what? I still want to go spend some time in Alberta. I just don't want to spend time in cold. I'm not a fan of super, super cold. PR Jenkins 77 says, hi from Canada. Hello back. Also from Canada. I'm from Toronto, and that's Canada. Although there is a Toronto, Ontario, California, isn't there? Definitely a California. Ontario, California. Is there a Toronto there too? Dave says, good morning. We've got lots of folks jumping in. Dog Rarmy says, hi, Sean. My question got butchered in TikTok's text box about the stop signs. So he's asking it here instead, or they're asking it here instead. Okay. Well, let's try this here first. Does a school bus stop sign flashing indicate a four-way stop sign for the cars around it, or is it just the cars behind it that have to stop for children? When a school, okay, that's identification. So it's not a four-way stop when a stop. So first of all, they shouldn't be stopping at the intersection. They should be stopping before the intersection or after the intersection, but not at the intersection because it's confusing. But that sign and those flashing lights in the school bus means that you cannot pass the school bus. So you cannot cross the intersection and pass it, and people who are behind the school bus cannot pass it and go through the intersection. The traffic in that direction must stop. But the opposing or the other direction of traffic is not governed by that stop sign. It's one of the reasons they shouldn't do it there. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael, who may or may not be in the live, can always chime in and say that they shouldn't be stopping there. Yeah. And then there was a question about separated by median. Oh, no. So he wanted to clarify, was it all direction or no? So the deal is with a median when it is a undivided highway versus a divided highway. 401 is a great example of a divided highway. There's basically a one-way road in one direction and a one-way road in the other direction. In that scenario, like the 401, if a school bus, oh, please don't ever do this, school bus, but if there was a situation where a school bus stopped on the 401, had its flashes on, no one could pass it from the back forward. But the opposing direction of traffic on they were going westbound and the other traffic eastbound on the other one-way street, they wouldn't be affected by the flashing lights. But if it's just like the light standard or the crosswalk or the little barrier just at the intersection, that is not making it a undivided or a divided highway. That's not enough. If there was a grassy knoll that ran up the entire road, I would say that would be divided. Okay. Just reading the rest here. A bus driver every day. Okay. So they follow up with saying a bus driver every day, because every's in caps, at the same time will stop at four-way stop sign, let out the flashing stop sign. All four directions come to a halt. Just wondering what's correct. Okay, we've covered it. Okay. Very cool. Let's see what's going on here. Greg wants to know, and by the way, if you want your question to show up on the screen like I did just now for Greg, the way to do that would be to go on to YouTube or X or LinkedIn, because those are the ones that are currently interfacing with our software. Can a legal U-turn be made from the left turn lane at a red light? No, you can't enter the intersection on a red light. So proceed before green would be the most appropriate charge, but and if you don't come to a stop, then it would be running the red light or fail to stop for red light. It is not legal to make a U-turn on a red, period. Many people don't get this, and many people make the illegal turn on a regular basis, and I don't get it. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling back because I see some questions. And the question is, this is from Westcott Sam. 8. Is it legal to pass on the double solid yellow line and solid single yellow line in Ontario? So the deal is that there's no charge, or it's not against the law to cross a yellow line or a white line. The white line means that traffic on the other side of that line is going in the same direction. In a yellow line situation, it means that traffic on the other side of that line is going in the opposite direction that you are. Now, is it a good idea? Generally not. Those lines are there for a reason. Solid lines suggest it's a bad idea. Don't do it. When you're approaching a hill, it goes solid to say you can't see what's on the other side of that hill, and you might be driving into another vehicle. So that's a reason why you don't do it. However, the charge wouldn't be for crossing the line. It would be for causing a collision, doing something dangerous, careless driving, dangerous driving, whatever the officer determines would be most appropriate. But driving on the other side of the road isn't specifically illegal. Makes you kind of say, Okay. Other provinces, however, it is illegal. You can't do it. You can't cross lines in other provinces, only Ontario. And I think it's going to change here eventually. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, do me a favor, hit the like button. How does that like button look? It means smashing that screen until your fingers go numb. It is important because it tells people to come to the live. We used to have days where we had 14,000 people coming through the live stream, days where we would regularly have 5 or 10,000. Algorithms shift, things change, and timing changes. We're playing now. Obviously, this is also not the same channel that had 673,000 followers when I was with the Toronto Police, but it is a channel that I am trying to provide help and assistance to anyone who wants it through, making the understanding of traffic law and traffic safety rules more widely available. So please share. We got Chase, who says, going back and forth between VOC and the inauguration. Yeah, I guess today's not the right day to go live. How do you compete with the Trumpster? By the way, I wanted to talk about that in a little while, but I'll talk about it now since you brought it up. And that is, what an amazing traffic nightmare it is to create a plan, a safety plan, the movement of internationally protected people like the president, motorcades. These are all things that I used to be very involved in, not so much in the planning side of it, but the execution when I was a motor squad officer. It is wild. And to see it done to the size and of that is done for the presidential inauguration is amazing. Anytime the president moves, it is just awesome. Now, I've been involved with moving the former and soon to be now First Lady around when she visited Toronto. I was involved with one of her motorcades. It's amazing, even when we do it here, how many vehicles are involved, what's involved, and when it's the big boss, I've just never seen. We've never done it here. Not when I was involved. Not having the president. Pretty awesome stuff. Let's see here. So I'm looking forward to watching it at noon, and because that's when things really kick off. And we're done here at 10:30. I will go up and I will start watching all of the pre-roll because it's interesting to me to watch all the moving pieces. And I have friends who are on the ground working. They're police officers from across North America or from the United States, and they're all in Washington, part of that inauguration detail. And they've all been sworn in, especially for the purpose to give them law enforcement authority while they're in the state. I'm guessing that's how it worked. So shout out to my friends who are watching or not watching, but are involved in what's going on. All right, Toronto Road Cabs, I see you there. How you doing? Let's have a quick look at what we've missed. Okay. I'm missing it. No, we got that. Frozen people in Alberta. Okay. Travis 928 says it's minus 23 in northern Ontario. It's a bit cold, but we can live with it. It's a bit cold here. I don't even look at the temperature because all I know is it's cold. I walked my kids to school and I came back and I had icicles that had formed in my mustache and beard. That's cold. Cold. But I didn't even wear socks. I just wore so this is more information than I planned on sharing, but I have some what are the Uggs? I have some Uggs. Now, I'm not an UGG person. By no stretch was I ever an UGG person. However, I have a pair of Uggs that I got at Winners for a reasonable amount of money. Like they were cheap, and they were my size. I wear a size 16. So that is something that doesn't happen every day. I bought them, and I now use them kind of as slippers to take the kids to school. No socks, just go for Uggs. So my ankles, that much exposed, it was cold. All right, moving on. Let's see here. We've got. Okay. I see that we have some discussion about. All right, let's approve it. So there was some discussion about the crossing the yellow line and passing and whatnot. So yeah, it really does bend the brain to think that you can cross a line that is solid because it goes against everything, but it's legal in Ontario. All right. Thank you, Travis, for sharing the live. And a question from MM9910. Are e-scooters allowed on sidewalks, and what is the charge if they're not? So here's a funny thing about that. No bicycles are allowed on sidewalks unless the rider is under the age of 14, making it 13 or younger. And that is specific to the city of Toronto. Different jurisdictions allow different things, but specifically in Toronto, not allowed. Now, e-bikes are funny because they are motor vehicles that are permitted if they conform to certain standards. They're permitted to be treated as bicycles, but again, bicycles can't be on the sidewalk unless their operator is under the age of 16. Sorry, under the age of 14, but you must be 16 to ride an e-bike. Thus, you never should see an e-bike on the sidewalk in Toronto. I don't think we should ever see them anywhere. I have 2 e-bikes that are legal. They don't go over 32 kilometers an hour. However, I see so many of them that are absolutely illegal. They lose the classification of e-bike. They become or revert to their original definition of being motor vehicles, at which point I would charge them for being motor vehicles on the sidewalk. And that's any sidewalk, anywhere. So if you have an e-bike that goes 33 kilometers an hour, and more likely it's something that does 40 or 50 or 60 kilometers an hour, and that's on the sidewalk, then you're being charged with, or should be charged with, motor vehicle on sidewalk, which is anywhere in the province of Ontario, you would get that charge. Okay. Nicholas Rizzi, good morning to you. And Toronto Road Cams, I already caught you. What does Nicholas say? You're having a 90s themed sleepover with your best friends. Which 90s movies are you watching? Sleepovers? I got kids, man. I don't even know. Mind you, there's a whole bunch of stuff I got to watch. I want to watch Red Dawn and the remake. What was that, 1984, 1986, and then 2012? But that's not 90s. We're specifically bordering the 90s. Okay. By the way, shout out to my my Chewy mug. I love this mug. I used to have a Luke Skywalker version until it was dropped by a young person that I helped create, and I'm not mad about it. I just missed the mug. Petru says, "Can we have electronic banner in the back of a car that can display messages if they're decent?" I've often thought about this, and you're not allowed to project light that is anything other than red or amber, and those are multicolored usually, and that would make me suggest they're not allowed. However, there are sign trucks that drive around all the time with billboards that are RGB full color quality images that which have not been enforced, which lead me to believe that we should look at the strength of those bulbs. In order for it to be a headlight or a projector light, well, no, I'm going to take that back. See, headlights have to be 300 lumens or above, but the rear taillights aren't 300 lumens. So this is a weird zone. I don't particularly have a problem with it. It's not projecting a beam that is a focused beam. It's just illuminating. And I think it's in a gray area. Is it perfectly legal? I don't think so. Is it something that I think is going to avoid prosecution or avoid a ton of tickets. I think if you do it tastefully, you could be okay. Again, I don't think it's letter of the law legal, but I think it's in the realm of confusion that will mean that you probably won't get charged, or if you get charged, that you'd have a reasonable ability to fight it in court. Yeah, especially if it's not terribly bright. What a good discussion. And I recently bought one of these flexible displays because I want to play with it and put it in the window. To do exactly what we're talking about. You can put it on arrow stick mode. You can put it on flashing lights. You can put it on, you can say screw you. You can say whatever you want. You can program it with your phone. I think it's awesome. And I want to experiment with it because I'm working on a project to produce Blinky 2.0. I want to create a much more affordable version of a traffic safety character that police can afford to implement and teach kids in schools. So I've bought some stuff to experiment with that. And one of those things is that type of screen that allows you to put those messages up, but I'm looking to make it bigger and so on. So there you go. What do we have here? Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Carl. Traylin says, watch on YouTube, The Myth is Canada, learn when corrupt government started. Interesting. I'm always interested in looking at stuff that is interesting, so that might be something I watch. Nicholas says, what 90s video game console are you playing? I don't even know what video game consoles came in what year. So I had an Atari 2600. I had a ColecoVision, I think, at one point, or maybe Pong. Maybe I had a pre-ColecoVision. I don't even know what I had. Long time ago. I definitely had an Atari 2600, and I loved it. And I lent it to my friend, who is now, I think he's in what is he in? He's in some fancy schmancy sciencey stuff. But he's from Macau. He came to Canada. We became very good friends. And his name is Carmen. And then he gave it back to me years later. I don't know what I did with it. I would love to play on the Atari 2600 today. I had a stack of games too. Anyway, Andy says, hello. And let's see here. We got, who else do we got? Is this person spamming? No, okay, we're not spamming yet. We've got, oh yeah, they are spamming. Okay, we're gonna mute them for the spam. Please don't spam. Mute account. There we go. Okay. Andy's watching. Okay. Nicholas Rizzi with the most wonderful of questions, and not really traffic related at all, but I'm entertaining them because they entertain me. And that is, which 90s wrestler is tucking you in and kissing you goodnight? I don't have a wrestler in my mind that would do that because that's creepy as all get out. But I will tell you this. I've had the distinct honor of meeting a lot of the old time wrestlers because friends of mine are big fans and they basically called the Iron Sheik their uncle. And I got to meet the Iron Sheik and so many of the amazing athletes of yesteryear. But I don't think I want any of them anywhere near my bedroom ever. Yeah. Not a firefighter says, still here, somewhat frozen in minus 27 degree Fahrenheit. Carl's minus 14 in Oshawa. Minus 14 is a lot better than minus 27 Fahrenheit. Or is it? Wait, what is the conversion? All I know is it sounds cold. Okay. Do cops use proprietary GPS systems to get around or just Google Waze? Google Waze is probably the best ways to get around. I certainly used it. I had my work phone had Waze active, and that's what I used. But I can tell you that if you don't listen to Waze, you will be punished. The Waze gods don't mess about. I'm not kidding. All right. We got some. Oh, we got. I'd be knighted. Good night, Sir Sean. All the best from cold London. That's from Randy McNaught. Thanks, Randy. Sir, I'm not used to any sir business. Let's see here. We got a Kayla with some dad jokes for later. Oh, this is good. Trucker wants to know, if my phone is in the phone holder, can I get a ticket? Depends what you're doing with your phone and your phone holder. I had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine on Saturday morning. And that discussion was about the interpretation of the use of handheld communication device when it comes to GPS. And let's discuss it because I think it's a good discussion to have. The way that I've always interpreted it and what majority of police look at is that if you have your handheld communication device in your hand, you're using it, whether it's on or off, doesn't matter. It's in use. If the screen is lit and you have stuff going on the screen and I can see your fingers dancing on it, that is extra evidence to support the fact that you're using the device. But even if the screen is black, you're holding it, you're using it. Now, if you have a GPS mode, you have a GPS app, and most people do, like Waze, and it's mounted and you're setting it and forgetting it, then my interpretation and that of the majority of policing is that is legal. You don't touch it. The screen is active, only displaying GPS results. And I believe other, like if it was a speedometer app, or if it was an app that controlled your engine tweaking, like it was something that went through your port, your OBD2 port. My understanding is that would be excused. His interpretation is different. So lawyers are working on it. We're trying to discuss what is the actual real deal. Does the exemption allow it or exclude it by exempting it from being exempted? I don't know. It is, I've operated one way and not the other. Now, let's get back into what is permissible. If it's mounted and it rings, you can answer it by swiping and using a Bluetooth headset or your speakerphone mode, whether it be connected to your phone or to your car system or not. Like just on speakerphone where you're not holding it and it's on speaker or hands-free mode. Hands-free requires it not being in your hand. That would be legal. Hanging up would be another allowable interaction with the phone. If you're driving and you are an Uber driver and you're swiping through to find out which of the available jobs available being offered, there's 5 rides there, which one's the one that looks best for me, which one's going to make me the most money, that is not allowable. If it was a single ring and ding and accept, where you got what you got and you never questioned it, I'd say that would be similar to that of the use of a hanging up or answering a call. And the truth is, if that's all I saw as a police officer investigating, I wouldn't think anything of it because that's legal use, swipe, as long as it's mounted. Swiping, use. In your lap is use, even if your hands aren't touching it. It's considered use. It's been upheld by the courts. So it's one of those deep down rabbit hole kind of things. So really, what is the use that you are using? But if your simple question is, if my phone is in the phone holder, can I get a ticket? Simply for having it in your phone holder is not a ticket. No. Ashley shared the live. Thanks for sharing. Sorry, 1 second here. Just live streaming at 10:30. Sorry, got a big stuff happening today that I need to jump onto, but my friend is anxious. So in 29 minutes, I got to go. Okay, is white underglow allowed on trucks? If you take allowed and underglow, you make it underglowed? Yeah, I don't know. I'm making up new words. So what are the laws behind it? There is no specific law governing underglow. There are laws for headlight. There are laws for taillights. So if you project white light to the rear, it's illegal. If you project white light to the front, it's not illegal. If you project white light sideways, it could be some combination of confusing to other people. Why do I bring this up? If you project, like, white is probably one of the least offensive ones, but if you're blinding drivers, if it's being projected backwards because the bulbs are visible or your truck is high, if I can see the bulb, you're projecting the light. That's how I interpret it. It's not directional light. So if I see it and I see the bulb, to me, that's directed at me because the bulb is visible. If the bulb was high and tucked and I didn't see the bulb, I just saw that the ground beneath it was illuminated, I would say that is not projected at me. You're getting reflected light from the ground. Do you see the difference? Now, that's how I interpret it, and the majority of people do. However, Sergeant Murray Campbell of the Toronto Police Traffic Services Unit says if he sees the light, you're projecting. Now, I disagree. We constantly argued about this when we were in studio. But he says if I see the light, it's projected at me. We have different views on science there, but he will write the ticket for you, which means you have to now defend it in court, which is less good for you, but I think you'd have a defense, but depends if the court agrees with me or with him. The thing with law is it's written in a way that is it leaves room for interpretation. That's what laws are. That's why lawyers exist, is to help determine what is and what isn't. And ultimately, the independent trier of fact is going to hear the evidence that you provide and the evidence the officer provides and determine what is or what isn't legal. Now, that is both wonderful and bad, right? Because it could be written in such a direct way that it would exclude any misinformation or misunderstanding. And I think that they should sharpen their pencils and write better laws because they kind of suck. But it is giving me purpose by being here to have these conversations with you. I hope that helps in the most confusing voice possible. All right, let's see here. Travis wants me to elaborate on the slow down, move over law and the importance and implication if not followed. Travis, thank you for bringing it up. Slow down, move over is amazing. It is amazing in that there was a law created to protect the people who are emergency services and tow vehicles working at collision scenes to get people to safety, to help them in an emergency situation, to get a vehicle off the road when someone's simply broken down. Those people deserve to be safe. Those people working deserve to be safe. So what does it mean? If you see emergency lights flashing, you need to move to the next available lane over, giving a full lane of traffic free. And if that lane isn't available, you need to slow down considerably and get over as much as possible to give them the space to be safe. That's as simple as it is. Emergency services or amber yellow lights on a tow truck. Those are the people that you need to protect. Now, I think that rationale would suggest that if you see anybody there, doesn't matter if there's emergency vehicles, if you see someone trying to change their tire, give them space. They're trying to get out of the way. Now, my personal preference is stay in your vehicle if your vehicle's broken down. Call for emergency help. Call for someone to create space with their flashing lights behind you. Don't crawl under your vehicle and try and change a tire in the middle of the night or at any time of the day at the side of the road if you can't get off the road significantly enough to create a safe space. And is there a safe space considering we watch drunk drivers plow into police vehicles that are pulled over on the side of the road? My partner, when I worked in 12 Division in traffic, was investigating a collision. And when she was walking back to her car, some guy drove into her police car. Like, so what is safe? What's safe is to sitting in your car with your seatbelt on and trying to stay warm if it's cold out like today. Brian says, I think I broke the law yesterday demonstrating how the wireless charger works in the car. Goes on to say, while filming an episode, the wireless charger in the car was shooting it. The wireless charger in the car I was shooting is pretty clever, and I demonstrated how it worked for my audience. You might have broken the law, but there was no witness, and I don't think you can testify against yourself. Brian is my friend who is not only a journalist, is it fair to say an automobile journalist? I think that's what you can call you. He's been a radio host. He runs a race team. He's a race car driver instructor, an all-around amazing guy. And I recently went for a drive with him to check out a BMW Alpina. Was it a G7? GB7? I don't know. I'm terrible with these, but it was a gorgeous $200,000 ride. Just outstanding four-wheel. Anyway, I can't afford it, but I like it a lot. Okay. If you want to see more about Brian Max, check him out at brianmax.com, M-A-K-S-E. Let's see here. We talked about this. We talked about that. Toronto Roadcam says, oh man, I love Blinky. Yeah, I love Blinky too. And Blinky exists just in a state of disrepair and very old and kind of creeps out the kids. And I think we need a new version. Toronto Roadcam says, I used to see him parked at 13 Division, and he used to make his rounds across the city. He's parked at Traffic Services right now. Kanan says, hi, Sean. How you doing? FM Promotions joined. A whole bunch of other people joined. Welcome. Okay. Ashley says, 8-Bit Bean Cafe in Whitby has tons of pinball machines and older games and some old game systems. No kidding. Whitby is not a place I regularly go, but I do go there with Brian. Last time we went to do a film shoot, we actually went to Mongolian Grill, which is in Whitby, which has shut down everywhere else. But if you've never had a Mongolian Grill experience, it's an all-you-can-eat kind of place, but it's unique in that you walk up with a bowl and you fill it with protein and veggies and stuff, then you hand it to the chef, and the chef dumps it out on this big old hot plate thing and cooks it right in front of you. It's amazing. And they have, I said, Mondays that kids eat free. Whatever it is, there's all sorts of promotions. There's one left. You should try it if you've never tried it. I want to go back now that you brought it up. Well, I brought it up after you brought up this other Whitby Cafe. But Brian, if you're still watching, I think we need to go to the 8-Bit Bean Cafe in Whitby and play some video games, and maybe that becomes part of the next episode. We relive our youth. Although I'm still kind of acting like a big kid. Anyway, moving on. Minus 31 in Winnipeg, Manitoba this morning. That sounds not fun. Now that's Celsius, and I can relate to Celsius. Okay. Andrea followed alive. Creator. That's me. Thanks for following. Okay. I think in BC, an Uber driver just won a distracted driving charge for that reason. Won which one? What did they win? How did they win it? What did they use? They beat it in court. How did they beat it in court? I want to know more. That's very interesting. Did it make the media? How did you find out about it? Send me the info if you have it. Toronto Road Cams and I chat all the time. Okay. Junior says, question, can you get a ticket in a parking lot that is open 24 hours? What kind of ticket? What kind of ticket? Like, can you get a ticket for parking? Yeah. Can you get a ticket for cell phones? No, it doesn't apply there. Can you get a ticket for stunt driving? Yeah. What kind of ticket? I want to know more. I love these questions that leave it all to the imagination because I don't know. Okay, we got 14 and a half minutes left of questions. Let's see here. So, KPalm23 says, so if you're in a drive-through on the store app, can you get a ticket? A different person, but same question. If you're in a drive-through, I'm going to assume that drive-through isn't on the roadway, and no, you can't get a ticket for handheld communication device in a drive-through because it's not illegal. And that goes pretty much everywhere the law, like in Canada. I'm not aware of anywhere that can ticket you in a private parking lot for using your cell phone. You don't even have to, in Ontario, you don't even have to have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle in a parking lot. It's not the highway. Now, the Premier of Ontario has talked about changing the rules to include anywhere that has access to the road becomes the highway, and that might change the interpretation of what I just said. But as it stands today, January 20th, 2025, parking lot is a parking lot. And while stunt driving laws apply and impaired driving laws apply, which under the criminal code, other laws don't. You can't get a ticket for running a stop sign. You can get a ticket for or charge criminally for dangerous driving. But yeah, there's the only thing you have to, you'd be responsible for any collision you cause, but you wouldn't get a ticket for just paying for Tim Hortons. I mean, I would be 3 times a day, I would get a ticket then because I used the app to pay. And get my points. I need my points. I got a free coffee today. I'm gonna use one just because we talked about it today. Okay. What percentage of tint for my windows is illegal? Martin Luther Blinkerton wants to know. So first off, if you want to read a great article about it, I'm biased. I wrote the article. You can go to x.com under voiceover cop and under my article sections. I just did one about tint. It's 30% light blockage. 30% light blockage is what the safety standard says. You cannot be certified if you exceed. So if you have less than 70% light transmission through the window, it's not legal for the road. That's where you pull your plates, your vehicle's unsafe, and you get towed away. Now, if you have less than 30% blockage, more than 70% light coming through, it's legal for certification purposes, but you could still be eligible for a ticket under the Highway Traffic Act for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with a color or reflective coating. And what that means is I can't see in. I can't see in. The public can't see in. It's too dark. I think that the easiest way to determine whether it's too dark is take your driver's license, put it on the inside of the window glass, and in normal lighting conditions, look at it. Can you see your driver's license? Can you read it? If you can't, it's probably too dark. The reason, and I go into in the article, is that people need to be able to see you as the driver when you're inside the vehicle. Nonverbal communication. You know I'm looking at you. Now you know I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at you. Pedestrians can make an informed decision as to what to do next based on that nonverbal communication. You know, if you look at someone and they smile or they look at you, even if they're looking just past you, you can tell that I'm not focused on the camera right now. You can tell that even though I'm in your general direction, I'm not looking at you. You see how that works? That's a really good example. I may have to clip this. So if I can't see and I can't make communication, it's not safe. If as a police officer, I can look into your vehicle, but I can't see if you're wearing a seatbelt. I can't see if you're on your phone. I can't see or make any description or identify you in any way, shape, or form. It's too dark. Now, let's say it's perfect during the day. I can see you like perfectly. But at nighttime, I can't see you at all. Then at nighttime, it would be illegal, even though in daytime it wouldn't be. Do you see where I'm going? There's a lot of what ifs and maybes. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you need more. And just to let you know, I've been going on jabbering for a bit. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And since leaving the Toronto Police, I've now helped launch something called bettertraffic.ca. It's actually the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, BTSE, or Better Traffic, because it's easier for the internet. And it's an organization that is helping to make this happen, which is now me sitting here talking to you. It's not just me in my basement. We're actually moving to an office. It's going to be a real thing. And the goal is to make it safer on the roads and help explain laws to you. It's also to help police agencies develop what's the best way to say this? Syndicate traffic safety education so that everyone has a wonderful and big catalog for both. Lots of stuff to share to help kids learn about traffic safety. All the stuff that we had in the 60s and 70s and 80s even that seems to have died off. Well, we want to bring it back. We want to bring traffic safety education to the forefront, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're bringing it hardcore. Maybe not so hardcore, but that's what we're doing. So if you want to know more information about that, bettertraffic.ca. But VoiceOver Cop is my channel. Ask a Traffic Cop, which has like 160 followers right now. It's just launched, and there's like 5 videos, clips from live streams. It's going, once we hit 1,000 followers, the live stream will likely move there because that's where it should live. It should live in a place that doesn't have my name on it. It should Ask a Traffic Cop because it is its own thing. Okay. I went way off topic. Finding where I left off. All right. We talked about that. What about colored underglow under regular cars? That's from Eye Candy Aesthetics. You want to know if there's any restricted colors? There's a lot of what ifs. So everything I talked about earlier about not having light that is directed in a particular direction, because obviously if you had red light to the front, that would be a charge against independently. Just that would be a charge on its own. Flashing light, also bad. Blue is a restricted color. Green is a restricted color. Red can only go to the rear. So yeah, it's a problem. Now, if you had amber, I'd say amber could be in any direction. Doesn't matter. It's legal. But who wants amber underglow? Just saying. I would say private property is where you should be using your underglow in most cases. And where it looks really good, truly where underglow looks good, is on a lowered car. Now, obviously a legal, safe lowered car, but a lowered car. And what that does is it gives you the illusion that the car is floating, I guess. At least it kind of looked like that back in the day. But when you have a truck that is, a large 4x4 and you have underglow, the light doesn't do anything except illuminate your muddy, midsection and direct light into the eyes of other drivers. So if it's a low vehicle and you can get the effect right, it looks good. If you have a vehicle that's raised, it doesn't look so good anyway. Personal opinion, of course, aside from the legal stuff. John K says, love watching your live. Thanks for sharing. My pleasure. I appreciate the appreciation. Thank you. If you're watching on TikTok, and I know you are, please smash the screen gently. Don't break a screen. It's expensive. But tap until your fingers go numb. It helps show the algorithm that we're worthy of watching. Of course, if you directly share it with people, it's even a better thing. And regardless of what platform you're on, because we're on YouTube, I was going to say Facebook, but we don't have enough followers. They changed the rules on Facebook. You need 1,000 followers on the page that you're presenting to. So we don't do that. But we were on LinkedIn. We will once again at some point be on Facebook, but we need to get our Facebook game in order. By the way, does anyone know how to get a hold of Facebook? Like, they don't answer the phone call. You know who does? TikTok. TikTok's amazing. When there's problems, they've helped me out with policey stuff, investigations, just making things work because they care about keeping the platform safe. But, Facebook, it's been 6 months. I had a problem with their two-factor authentication. I can no longer authenticate. I'm stuck with one device that can access my Facebook account, which is one of the reasons that I haven't been developing our Facebook presence. I have to start again. I have to create a new Facebook account because I can't verify. It's really scary. It's terrible. I've had a Facebook account since Facebook began, and now I might lose it because they don't answer the phone. And I'm annoyed with Facebook. Meta, you're annoying. Just you're annoying. All right, moving on. What is this? Oh, Michael's in here. A moderator Michael. Okay. Nicholas, with some levity, says, I am driving a Ghostbuster car with sirens blaring. Are you pulling me over or are you going to let me go? If I give you a ride around the block. First of all, I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters. Shout out to those people who are also fans of one of the most magical movie series ever. I don't know how I feel about the new ones. Oh, the latest. So there was the one that was a big flop. We know which one that one was, right? And then they released 2 since then, which were actually pretty good. In any case, I'm a Ghostbusters fan, and I was going to buy my kids Ghostbusters uniforms because I'm a geek, and that would have been cool in a geeky way. Scrolling back. All right. Junior specifically wanted to know about parking tickets. So yeah, parking tickets in private property, that's their rules. It's not city parking. They can actually have city people write tickets on behalf, all based on signage, whatever the signage is, whatever the local laws are, and if they post those local laws, those bylaws. When I buy what is this? Oh, okay. When I buy a new car, can I use my current car plates to drive it to my home? Now, I'm going to take from what you just asked, current, and say no. See, if you drove your car there and they're still affiliated or associated or attached, and according to the ministry, the plates that go on that car, then you can't put them on a different car. It would be the car that it's using plates not authorized. You can only use it on the car that you're registered to. But let's say you sold your car, you took those plates off, the car was being removed from your registration and put in someone else's name. Now you have plates that are unattached status. They're just plates. No car is registered to them. Then the law says you can use those plates for up to 6 days on an insured vehicle that you have now purchased to get it home or to get it to the ministry to transfer the ownership, at which point it would be those plates on the new vehicle. I choose to do something that probably nobody else does. I get new plates almost every time I get a new vehicle. Go to the dealership, make it so. Just give me new plates. I want to drive away. I want everything done. I don't want to use a screwdriver. Not that I like building stuff, but I don't want anything to do with ruining the vibe of my first day with a vehicle. My old plates, I can choose to return them. I can use them on another vehicle later. No one needs them. They just put them in the closet. I have a bunch of plates. No big deal. Maybe I'll frame them. Maybe it'll be the memory of that vehicle. I don't know. But I don't bother with transferring and things. I just get the dealership to register it, which is different than buying used. I don't generally buy used. All right. What is this? That was Nicholas and Michael talking. The Grinch says the beard is looking good. Retirement going well, I hope. You know what? Retirement is far from retirement. It's just no longer being a police officer because I am working harder than ever to develop better traffic and bring on this next chapter of my life. And we want to make better traffic North America wide. We want to go big. And we've got talks about doing a television show at some point. We've got all sorts of really amazing things that we're working on. So it's just a matter of time. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Toronto road cams. So the discussion a few minutes ago, if you missed it, was that an Uber driver was able to beat a charge for using their cell phone while driving in BC. And road cams said that they managed to beat it. I said, send it to me. I want to see that. And he says, no, it was upheld by the BC Supreme Court. So they were convicted. Cool. And he's going to send me a link via DM. I wonder why that was shadow banned. Well, not shadow banned. I don't. You probably don't see this, but if you go live, occasionally there's some that have a little eye beside it and it's grayed out, meaning that you can't see the comment, even though I can see the comment. But Toronto road camps should be seen by everyone. Great content, by the way. If you don't follow Toronto road camps, you really should. Screaming Eagle says, you didn't answer my question about speed cameras. Sorry, brother. Didn't see the question about speed cameras. So please ask it again because I won't be able to scroll back and find it. Or maybe I can. Maybe I can. Can I? Oh, Suppressed Voices wants to know, how old can cops retire at? I'll come back to that in a second. Screaming Eagle, I don't see your question. Please ask it again. I would love to answer your question. I can't find it. To answer Suppressed Voices question, how old do cops retire at? It's a factor. In fact, I didn't retire at a normal age. I did something that would be, is truly not retirement. I say retirement because it's the easiest way to describe it. But retirement, the earliest you can retire in Canada is 50. I left at 49.99999 because I wanted to do something called commuting my pension. I wanted to pull my pension out. I didn't want to be on a pension. If I left at 50, I would have been locked into the pension program, and then I would have been retired in a more classical sense. And my factor would have kept me working for 8 more years. So 58 would have been my early retirement date, and 60 would have been my normal retirement date. But it's age plus years of service equals a factor. And when your factor is 85 as a police officer in Toronto, you can retire 90 as a civilian. So that's the story. It really depends. There's people who've been working for longer than they've been alive, right? Working people working as a cop longer than they've been not a cop. That's what I meant. There's people who will die on the job. They're gonna keep going until they're buried in their uniform. Like there's no specific. Like some people say, I'll leave the day I'm eligible. There's some people who take a cut like I did and leave early, but I left for family reasons. And then there's people who have no intention of ever leaving, and they don't have to anymore. You're not forced to retire at 65. Yeah, there's people who are retiring well into their later olderness. Okay. Screaming Eagle waiting for you to do that. Can a person use two-way mirror tint, can see out but can't see in privacy? Ned Flagman. So in Ontario, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy, and in truth, you're not allowed to prevent people from looking inside. There's a specific charge called, I said it 6 times already today. What the heck is it called? Obscure interior of motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. The reflective specifically being what you're asking about is actually named in the wording of the charge. So no, you can't. In the rear windows, as Michael very specifically answered, it says on back windows, yes. So the windows that are regulated in the tint laws are specifically the windows directly left and right of the driver, and of course the windshield can't have any. But the windows that are behind the driver, like the rear passenger or cargo areas, they can be mirrored, just not the ones that prevent you from seeing the driver. What do you think of the province getting rid of bike lanes? I'm actually a fan of getting rid of the bike lanes. I think they create a tremendous amount of congestion. I think that they're underutilized, and I don't think that we should provide them for the occasional rider. I don't think you make a road, and that's effectively what it is. You're taking cars off the road to make room to try and promote to the 6 people who ride bicycle. Okay, I'm overgeneralizing and I'm being a negative ass, but there's not enough people riding to justify destroying traffic for an entire city. I'm sorry. I love your riders. I want you to be safe, but you were safer 100 years before. And I don't think that this is making you safer. I think people are being more obnoxious in them. And I think it's hurting drivers and making them angry. And you're reducing cars isn't the answer. I don't think. I'm not one of these people who thinks that 6 or even 6,000 cars less downtown is going to change anything in the carbon and the environment. And when our country isn't even the mass producer of the most pollutants. But whatever, that's a whole different subject. I'm not a denier. I know it's happening. Just we're not the ones doing it. So that's the reality part of it. Okay. Terry Cook says, I've seen truck drivers driving with curtain pulled over enough you can't see them. Is that? So curtains on the side view. So that's not affecting the window. It's obscuring the driver's view. So they can be charged for obscuring the driver's view, but they wouldn't be charged for a color coding obscuring the interior. It's a different charge, but they'd still be eligible for charges. Philomena says, so if you have a bike lane and you have to make a right turn, can you turn into the bike lane? Depends on the design of the bike lane. If the bike lane has a dotted line, it's inviting you to pinch the lane. If you have green paint on the ground, it's specifically identifying a place that bicycles and cars will intermingle. Obviously, you have to yield to bicycles. You have to be in a position where you don't cut anybody off. But if you're there behind you and you pinch the lane like you're supposed to, you make your right turn, and they should be passing you on the left. And again, another reason why cyclists or bicycle lanes are a bad idea is because they create all this confusion. Where you would have normally just changed into that lane and made the right turn, there's utter confusion, which makes it unsafe for everybody. So as much as I think they were intended to be a good thing, I think that they're a colossal screw up. And throughout the city of Toronto, which is my number one discussion point when I talk about bike lanes, every single bike lane is different. No two designs, like whoever designed them must have got fired every time they finished a project that was a different person because no two match. How are you supposed to make decisions for safety when you can't even do the same thing twice and be right twice? Like it shouldn't be a riddle every time you come up to an intersection. What should I do here? Anyway. Nikki says, thanks for the information. You're very welcome. Someone said, Sean Charles sent me a donut. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I did not see that when it happened. Apologies for ignoring it. Okay, moving along. Meta, thumbs down. Michael. Meta's upsetting me. Not only do they not answer the phone, pretty certain that the whole disinformation campaign that was launched against TikTok is all because of Meta. And it's pretty clear that Meta created a campaign to make TikTok look bad because they were losing so much money to TikTok's revenues, the advertising revenue that they were losing to TikTok. TikTok's amazing. I know people are saying, "Oh, it's bad. It's owned by China." Everyone's going to Red Note. Red Note is in Chinese, owned entirely by the Chinese government, from my understanding, and somehow that's okay, but TikTok's not. Anyway, I could go on for hours about it. Alvin says, "Yeah, you have a big pension thanks to us." Alvin, I don't think you understand how pensions work. It's basically forced savings. We save. My money goes into the pension plan every month. Now the employer puts in a contribution as well, but it's not your money. It's all part of a package. Um, but I love the people who think that we're being awarded some kind of lottery win. No, it means that a huge amount of my paycheck went into that campaign for 20 years, or in my case, on and off for 25 years. You didn't save that money. I saved that money. Go learn something somewhere else. Go away. Username BG says, "Why'd you retire this early?" For family reasons. My family needs me at home more. I need to be much more flexible with my time, and I just can't go downtown and drive 3 hours to and from work and be away from my family. Who needs me more now? How can you be a cop when you're that old? Well, you'd be admitted. As long as you can be on the road safely, or maybe you're in an admin function, you can still be a cop. Yeah. Does your Canadian pension still pay out if you move to another country? Yes, it does. Are you sponsoring me? Am I coming to move down south? Where are you? I want to go somewhere warm. Okay. Let's see here. AC says, "I just got my G1. Do I need to have the temp paper with me when I'm driving with a G?" Yeah, you have to have your license with you. Your permit has to be with you. You have to be able to surrender it to a police officer upon demand. 10:30. I got to wrap it up. Let's see here. Quit at 49.99. Pull pension. Best thing ever. If you've been retired longer than you've worked, you win. There are people who retired longer than they worked. I'm not really retired because I'm still working, but yes, you got to make it work for you. I love this question. A user account called FBI that I strongly doubt is actually the FBI. I have family that works with the FBI. Anyway, quick question. How much over the speed limit on the freeway do police let slide by? It depends on the officer. I easily pull people over for 20 over without hesitation. Some people say they want the heavy hitters. Some people think 20 over is sort of just the average. It really depends. I don't want anyone speeding at all. Got a windshield ticket on October 2023. Disputed. Haven't heard anything back. Follow up with them. It could be taking a year and a half to get a ticket to court. Nahom Ezra. Nahom. Still there, a cop. You don't get arrested. If not, just try it by then. And what? I don't know. This person, I thought I blocked them last time. I don't know. They just come in here and we'll mute. I don't need to get rid of them, but I don't want to hear from them anymore. They're annoying. All right. Any snowmobile speed limits on lakes? We talked about that. So it seems to be having, because you or somebody else asked earlier about lake speed limits, and it seems to be that either they don't exist or they're not enforced, because from the sounds of it, I've heard of people doing stupidly fast speeds on the lake, and there don't seem to be any consequences. However, in terms of on the trails, they are heavily enforced, again, from what I've been explained or had explained to me. Hello from Niagara. Hello. Hi, Sean. Watching from St. Lucia. Hope you're well. David Mailer. How you doing, my brother? St. Lucia sounds magical. It is cold here. I'm hoping it's not cold for you. Great to hear from you. Someone enjoying retirement. Awesome. All right. Evandro popped in. Okay, let's do some. Here's a good question from Michaela. How do you make eye contact with autonomous vehicles? Would tint count with EVs? It's a very good question. An area that is got no answer. Maybe we should have googly eyes in the front of EVs. But I think the assumption with EVs is that they see everything, and that you have to be really careful to make sure that they know what to do with the information. Too funny. That's really good question. I drove an Alpina BMW for a short drive, and it had not autonomous driving, but hands-free operation on divided highways. It was freaky. Like, I hit the signal and it changed lanes for me. It was a freaky experience. I don't know how I feel about it. kind of want to like it, but I don't love it. I'm not comfortable with it yet. Maybe I will be one day. But do you remember recently seeing a video of a guy in a autonomous taxi that was just driving around in circles, and he said, I have a plane to catch. Why is this taking me around? It was, I would not be happy if that were me. And we have Evandro says, good morning, your Brazilian fan watching again. Good morning, Evandro. Good to see you over the weekend. Evandro says, thank you for everything you did for us last Saturday on the recruiting event. So on Saturday, I went to the arena. The arena is a training space for people who are interested in law enforcement and security work. It's owned and operated, from my understanding, from Sentinel Security, but they have a great team of active and former police officers who work as trainers, trying to help and guide people into being able to pass their physicals and their training requirements for becoming a police officer or high-end security, because Sentinel does all sorts of close protection stuff. Yeah. So I went to that event, as did a number of police officers, to talk to people who are interested in policing, just to give them some perspective and help them along their journey. Met some great people. Met a lot of folks who watch the channel, so thank you to those the fine folks who came by and said hello. And I got, apparently there's going to be some selfies posted. I haven't seen them yet. So if you took a selfie, make sure you have tagged me, VoiceOver Cop, so I can see them too. All right. We got dad jokes. A quick look here. Not a firefighter says they will sponsor me to come south. They want to recruit me to America. Not a firefighter continues to say, I hope by the time I retire, we have robocars that I can just take me everywhere, like the beach. I agree. You know, do you remember Time Cop? I think it was Time Cop with Van Damme, where he gets off duty, walks into his car that has no windows, gets in, says, take me home, and takes a nap. That's the kind of car I could get used to. It also, I think, was bulletproof, and even if it crashed, I don't think it was like a tank. I don't think anyone would have noticed, at least nobody in the vehicle. MDM Services says, hey, can I sell my father's car? He passed away. No death certificate yet. I would not be in a rush to sell that. I don't think you have the lawful authority to sell it until such time as the estate is being settled. So once whoever the person who is in charge of the estate. But here's the thing, and I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but do you have a will? Does he have a will? Did he have a will? If you don't have a will, my friends at Lawyers and Lattes want to offer my listeners a will for free. And I'm going to be putting the link in the trafficcop.ca list of links. So if you don't have a will and you want a will, go to trafficcop.ca. I'll put a link to Lawyers and Lattes there. They want to do it for free for our listeners, and I think you should take advantage of the opportunity to get a free will. Wills are important. When I had kids, I got a will done. I updated the will. The will is an important thing. If something happens to me, I want everyone who is left holding the bag to know what to do with stuff like my car. How do you do it? Where do I want it to go? Do I want to gift it to somebody? Instructions. Give people instructions. Don't leave them with more questions. Let's see here. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. A multiple alphabet username says, do you need to go to university to become a police officer? Grade 12 is the minimum requirements, but it's a competitive position. So the more training and education you have, the better equipped you are to compete for the position. Toronto Roadcam says, not really the best time to move to the States. Why? What do you mean? Okay. Oh, they said, why does a military officer need a degree but not a police officer? Police officers and an officer within the military are two different things. An officer is someone who is in a different path in management than someone who is a frontline soldier. Well, a police officer is more a frontline soldier with a different skill set than a manager. And to get promoted, you generally need a degree, if that's what you're asking. Let's see here. Adrian says, I got a speeding ticket as an 18-year-old doing 60 and a 50. Not bad. Would it affect my insurance? How old are you now? Like, if you were 40 now, the ticket you got when you were 18 should not be affecting your insurance now. If you got it last year, probably for another 2 years, it'll affect you. So, yeah, you still need to have the will dealt with. They have to sign off on everything. It has to be completed, and there's a process. I don't know the details, but if you talk to Lawyers and Lattes, I'm sure they'll help you out. If you're in Ontario, actually across Canada, they work across Canada. Okay. Cool. All right. We're up to date. I think we covered everything. Now we're doing dad jokes. Oh my god. It's like you're a mind reader, Dogs Hockey. Dogs Hockey 28 says, Sean, can you please explain to your viewers that four ways are actually for what they're actually for and how to turn them in does not excuse drivers from HDA offenses. And then they restated it and said, explain to viewers what four ways are actually for and who turning them on. Okay, I know what you're saying. I'm actually finishing off an article that I've written, or I'm in the process of finishing one that I'm writing, and I'll publish it tomorrow. And it's all about the appropriate use of four-way flashers. Thank you for allowing me to be reminded and mention that. So if you don't already know this, I've started writing basically 1,000-word articles, and they're going on my LinkedIn page and they're going on my my x.com account under voiceover cop. They're also going on bettertraffic.ca in the blog section. And what these articles are well, they're whatever I come up with to talk about, but there's always something that I find interesting, and hopefully you find it interesting too. They're all safety oriented, and the next one is very specifically, I think it works out that when I see something that really pisses me off on the road, it inspires an article. I wrote about traffic in front of my kids' school and what people do every day. Tinted windows is one of them. Just the chaos of dropping off at school. You can go read them at any time. We're actually going to start a newsletter for Better Traffic, and these articles will be featured in that newsletter at some point. If you're interested in becoming to getting onto the newsletter when it launches, by all means, go to trafficcop.ca and you can submit a form and you can let me know that you want to be on the newsletter, and I'll add you to it. But it'll just be a monthly kind of thing where we add some articles, and if we get any promotions, like for instance, the offer from Lawyers and Lattes, they want to give free wills to our listeners, we'll let people know on their mailing list. And if you're a company that wants to offer our listeners anything, let me know. It's an opportunity for you to let our viewers have a deal because they're nice people who want to be safe on the road. Anyway, just saying. All right, dad jokes. Dad jokes. Dad joke number one. On the screen. I started a band called 999 Megabytes. We still haven't gotten a gig. You know what the funny thing is? It's not close to a gig because 999, like 1,000 megabytes isn't a gig. It's 1,028 megabytes, right? Isn't it? 1,028. So it's a slightly inaccurate joke, but it's still funny nonetheless. And then, yeah, as I am truly a geek. Dad joke. Why did the little boy spend 5 hours staring at the orange juice? The carton said, concentrate. Makes sense. Didn't say from concentrate, just said concentrate. You're paying per letter. Oh, dad joke from not a firefighter. What days are the strongest? Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays. I like that too. Okay. Alphabet. I say alphabet because you have random letters. They said, I want to become a military police officer, then transfer to the civvy side as a possible. Yeah, you could be an MP and then transfer. We have former MPs that are police officers. And would I start from the bottom when transferring? Yes, you would. You'd be a police constable, which is not the bottom. You might be able to get some higher level, like not be a fourth class constable. I don't know how that works. But you would still be a police constable, not a sergeant. You wouldn't be management necessarily. It's a different program. All right. We talked about that. 1024. Did I say 1028? 2024? Okay. But either way, Toronto Road Cams confirms that that the joke was not accurate in terms of the number of 24. Okay. Let's see here. Reading. So not a firefighter says, I'm reading a horror story in Braille. Something bad is going to happen. I can feel it. It was actually very funny. It's a mild groaner. Okay. It's actually really good. Okay. And last joke. Oh, it's not a joke. So everything was appropriate. A quote: "A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song." And that's a Chinese proverb with no name attached. Nobody wants to take responsibility for it, apparently. All right. That's it for me. See you on Wednesday. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, and park legally, because Aaron Urquhart from parking at Toronto Police would be very upset with you if you break the law, or they would